on WODU. Stick around after this next song. I have Topical Applications, a great general interest talk show coming up. Right after we hear a song from Jody Lilac titled Hold Me, right here on WODU.
What can I do? My heart is dripping, leaking, and I just need a clue to fill the void. What can I do? The seam is ripping, breaking, and I will self-destruct or be destroyed. Maybe I will study real hard, become a doctor's lawyer, watch the dollars rolling in for the rest of my life. And then maybe I will go to the mall, make fashion my employer. Let spending take me for a spin. Well, that relieve my strife. Somebody help me find the remedy. Take this emptiness away. There's a hole in my heart. I don't know where to start. Somebody help me find the right thing to come and brighten up my day. There's a hole in my heart. There's a hole in my heart. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. What can I do? My heart is dripping, leaking, and I just need a clue to fill the void. Oh, what can I do? The seam is ripping, breaking, and I will self-destruct or be destroyed. Maybe I will find me a friend to warm my coldest night times. He'll turn my insides out and I readily will succumb. And then when he don't call me again, I'll make the night my pastime. There's plenty more where he came from. So much more it makes me numb. Somebody help me find the remedy to take this emptiness away. There's a hole in my heart.
All right. Well, I guess the computer had a little bit different idea for what it wanted to play than what I was going to play. That was actually Shamim with Hole in My Heart. Good morning. Happy Monday morning to you. I am TJ, the DJ here on WODU. This is Topical Applications, happening each and every Monday from 10:30 until 11:30, where we talk about, just stories from all around the spectrum. Today, I've got lined up for you stories about a couple of ODU sports events that happened over the weekend, as well as upcoming homecoming events here on the Old Dominion campus. We are going to discuss the UN General Assembly meeting going on in New York City this week, as well as the ongoing global refugee crisis right here on WODU Topical Applications. Like I said, I'm TJ the DJ. I am a communications major here at Old Dominion University, trying to get my degree in public relations and advocacy so I can try and make this world a better place. We're going to sit here, tackle topics that might be a little tough to discuss, some might be fun to discuss, and we'll just see where the conversation carries us. And what a beautiful morning on the campus of Old Dominion University it is today. What a beautiful weekend we had. I was enjoying that walk in here today. Let's see, it's slightly humid. Let's see, about 80% humidity. We're looking at 82 degrees roughly right now around Hampton Roads. Low 80s is what it is, but it feels a little bit warmer than what it actually is. Feels about like 90. So make sure you have plenty of water with you today, especially if you're walking around campus. Don't want to get dehydrated going to classes, being tired, and then all of a sudden you don't pass that quiz or test, or you don't get those right notes, and you never know what could happen then. Your time at ODU might be over after that. Who knows? I'm just joking. Anyway, but we don't want you to get dehydrated while being around here on campus. So make sure you drink plenty of water today, walking around. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful week all week throughout Hampton Roads. We are looking at, let's see, high of 79 tomorrow. We're looking at a chance of thunderstorms this afternoon, so keep an eye out for that. It looks like there's a high chance of thunderstorms, especially with the way the humidity has been. And that is how this time of year is in Hampton Roads. So that's just all we have to deal with. And we're going to tackle the weather in detail more when we discuss homecoming coming up, so you can make your plans accordingly. But it's going to be a beautiful week for this upcoming homecoming week here at Old Dominion University. And Saturday is looking like a great day for Old Dominion football at Foreman Field, SB Ballard Stadium. Oh, yeah, I am excited. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Kicking off today, though, I would like to talk about the Old Dominion University women's soccer team. They took on Charlotte on, let's see, that was Sunday, and Old Dominion University is 0-1 in Conference USA play, 2-6 overall. Krista Moisio had 8 saves in goal for a career high, and Catherine Hill scored Old Dominion University's lone goal in the 70th minute. Charlotte, they made it 4 minutes into the match, and then they got a goal. And let's see, it was assisted by Emily Truelove, and Martha Thomas scored the first goal in the 4th minute of the match. At the half, ODU was up on corner kicks, 2 corner kicks to 0 corner kicks for Charlotte, but Charlotte outshot the Lady Monarchs 9 shots to 4 on goal. Charlotte took a 2-0 lead when Riley Orr took a ball and sent it off a set piece, and it went off of Megan Green's back and into Old Dominion's net in the 70th minute. And then let's see, Old Dominion will return home to host Florida Atlantic University Friday, September 23rd at 7 p.m. That's the men's team. And then the Lady Monarchs welcome South Florida to the soccer complex on Sunday, September 25th. So make sure you check that out. Check out Old Dominion University soccer Great stadium over there. I haven't been to a game yet. I'm trying to get over there. I grew up playing soccer my whole life, refereed soccer when I was in high school, coached soccer when I was in high school, and I always played recreational soccer. I wasn't too interested in the high school soccer team for what it was worth when I was in school. So now I'm bringing you the news about soccer. And you can also follow ODU Women's Soccer on Twitter at ODU Women's Soccer. Again, that's at ODU Women's Soccer on Twitter. Another sport happening this past weekend was Old Dominion Lady Monarchs number 13 field hockey team. However, they were defeated by James Madison University this past Sunday afternoon at the LR Hill Sports Complex. JMU went to 5-2 and have played no conference games, and the Lady Monarchs fell to a 4-3 record with an 0-1 record in the Big East. They lie in the Big East Conference. According to Coach Andrew Griffiths of the Old Dominion women's field hockey team, it was a disappointing performance from the team today. After playing with good focus on Friday, we played much more individually today than we want to. Our penalty corner execution was poor today, and we had a number of those opportunities which we failed to convert. We are going to have to be more consistent individually and as a team in our upcoming games to get where we want to get to. JMU came out early as Miranda Rigg took an assist from Ashley Gipp in the opening minute, and they went up 1-0. In the 20th minute, JMU's Florian Sondern extended the Dukes lead to 2-0 as the ball went into the net off of a rebound at the half. JMU had a 5-4 advantage in shots and maintained a 2-1 advantage in corners on the field hockey pitch. The Lady Monarchs got on the board in the 59th minute when Casey Dolan scored off an assist from freshman Julia Demeester, cutting the deficit in half. ODU was awarded successive penalty corners as time expired, but the Dukes were able to hold off the Lady Monarchs, scoring attempts to seal the 2-1 victory. For the game, Old Dominion outshot JMU 10-5 as the Lady Monarchs attempted 6 shots in the second half. ODU also maintained a 5-2 advantage in penalty corners. ODU will be back in action Friday, September 23rd, when the Lady Monarchs take a trip to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., to take on their Big East rivals, Georgetown, at 1 p.m. Again, that's Friday, September 23rd. Georgetown University up in Washington, D.C., and that game is at 1 p.m., the Old Dominion Lady Monarchs field hockey team. And wow, number 13, I don't know if they're going to stick up there after this weekend. We will see what happens, but it looks like we have a pretty decent program here at Old Dominion University for field hockey this season. Let's see where the season takes us. And finally, the big one that a lot of people enjoy discussing. I enjoy attending the football games. Time to talk Monarch football. And let's see here now then. And we are going to talk about another loss this season. That's right. Old Dominion was handed another loss, this time by one of the Power 5 division schools, North Carolina State University. They defeated Old Dominion 49-22. Old Dominion University came off with a slow start, only scoring a field goal in the first half. Most of their yardage came in the second half, with 258 yards of offense coming in that second half. And to start the offensive scoring outside of the field goal, quarterback David Washington connected with wide receiver Pascal, one of his favorite targets, for two touchdown passes in the second half. The final ODU score came from Jeremy Cox rushing into the end zone. Washington was 16 for 26 for 200 yards, and defensive player TJ Ricks had a game-high 11 tackles. ODU will return home at Foreman Field at SB Ballard Stadium this Saturday, September 24th, for our homecoming. Woohoo! To take on University of Texas San Antonio at 3:30 p.m. Lots of festivities happening around the Old Dominion University campus today. or this week, rather. Today it's kicking off, of course, and going through Saturday. So let's talk about what's going on. Then we'll get into the weather for the upcoming week and let you know what you can expect for homecoming week. Now, kicking off today from 12 until 3 p.m. at the Quad Field on the campus of Old Dominion University, we're going to have the grand opening of Homecoming Week, 50s diner style event on the Quad to kick off Homecoming 2016, where you'll be able to create your own vinyl, pick up an exclusive giveaway, take your photo at the photo booth, and eat at ODU's own diner on the Quad. Again, that's happening from 12 until 3 p.m. today. So get on down there to the Quad Field for that kickoff to Homecoming Week. Then tonight from 7 until 10 p.m. on the Quad Field, there's going to be a homecoming block party. Tomorrow, Car Smash and Paul the Pavement from 11 to 2 p.m. on Kaufman Mall. As I was walking into the studio today here at beautiful Webb Center, I saw where they've painted over the sidewalk, put fresh white paw prints to be painted over on the walk up Kaufman Mall here on the campus of Old Dominion University in the beautiful city of Norfolk. It is a gorgeous campus if you've never been down here. I've lived in Hampton Roads pretty much my whole life, and up until just recently, I haven't really done a lot of walking or bike riding around the Old Dominion campus. I brought my bike to campus about a week or two ago, rode it around for a while, a lot of fun. You know, you head on down towards the water. There's golf courses, the soccer complex, the baseball stadium. It's just a beautiful campus. Then you go up north a ways towards the football field is right there on Hampton Boulevard. And you have more, and then you just get back into the neighborhoods and also. It's a beautiful place just to take a stroll sometime, especially in this beautiful weather we're having right here in September in Norfolk on the Old Dominion University campus. Like I said, I'm TJ the DJ. This is Topical Applications, WODU. We're talking about homecoming activities tomorrow, Tuesday, September 20th, Car Smash and Paul the Pavement, 11 to 2 p.m. on Kaufman Mall. You can pay $1 per smash of a car painted in University of Texas San Antonio colors to raise money for a scholarship for involved students. UTSA is our opponent for the football game on Saturday. So sign up with your organization also to paint a paw on Kaufman Mall during this time before, it says September 16th. So I guess that deadline's passed. However, it's still going to be fun to watch everybody. That's happening tomorrow from 11 to 2 p.m. on the Kaufman Mall. Also, 10:30 until 2:30 at the Constant Convocation Center, there's a career fair happening, dodgeball tournament, 5 p.m. Student Recreation Center, and this is going to be the first ever homecoming dodgeball tournament. I'm not sure if registration is still open for that, but you can check it out on IM Leagues for more information about registration for that dodgeball tournament happening at the Student Recreation Center at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Then Wednesday, Peace, Love, and Paint from 11 to 4 p.m. And you should have registered on Monarch Link. And that is to paint windows across the campus with your student organization. Show your pride and showcase your organization. The registration link was found on Monarch Link. And also Wednesday, September 21st, We the Kings concert, 8 p.m. the North Cafeteria in the Webb Center. And the Royal Court Homecoming Basketball Tournament happening at 6 p.m. We the Kings concert happening at 8 p.m. I'm going to play a few songs from We the Kings in just a few minutes after we cover all the homecoming activities and weather, so you can check them out and decide. You can pick up tickets for that We the Kings concert happening Wednesday night at 8 p.m. in the Webb Center North Cafeteria at the Webb Center information table when you walk in the main entrance to Webb Center. Thursday is Monarch Day, 11 to 3 p.m. on Kaufman Mall. Come enjoy an event full of ODU spirit and fun. There will be novelties, giveaways, amusements, and more. A lively activity presentation will include the presentation of Homecoming Court contest winners so far, Big Blue, as well as a performance by ODU Cheer and Dance. That's happening again on Kaufman Mall from 11 to 3 p.m. on Thursday, September 22nd. That is Monarch Day. Friday, September 23rd, is the dedication of the Kate and John R. Broderick Dining Commons at 4 p.m. So if you're interested in that, go on ahead and check that out. Saturday, September 24th, the big day where we take on University of Texas San Antonio at Foreman Field, 3:30 p.m. Prior to the game, 10:30 a.m., kicking off at 49th and Hampton Boulevard will be Parade Through Time. Everyone is welcome to come out and enjoy the 2016 Homecoming Parade. Best places to watch include Hampton Boulevard and 49th Street. And I believe registration I saw walking in is still open for that till the 22nd. Register your group to be in the parade on Monarch Link using the parade registration form. And like I mentioned, we, the Kings, are going to be performing here in a homecoming concert. We're going to get to that in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at the upcoming weather for this week, as we have a lot of outdoor activities planned here on the campus of Old Dominion University. So we're looking at, according to AccuWeather, that's right, I pulled it up on my phone here to take a look. We're looking at, today, humid with a chance of rain and thunderstorm at 70%. 85 degrees is going to be the high. Tomorrow, humid with occasional rain, 79 degrees, and that's a 66% chance of rain. Some sun with spotty showers on Wednesday, the 21st. 78 degrees is the high. And then Thursday, 81 degrees with a 42% chance of showers, mostly cloudy with a shower on Friday the 23rd. And then Saturday, the big game day, 83 degrees, mostly sunny and humid. So it's going to be a little warm out there. Make sure you wear your sunscreen. I forgot to put sunscreen on my tattoos on my arms on the last home game. And, oh, man, I did my best to keep them from getting too burned up. So that sun beats down on Foreman Field and SB Ballard Stadium on Saturday afternoons, especially when we're playing at 3:30. However, you get the best of both worlds, because the last game that we watched here at Foreman Field a couple weeks ago, it was nice and hot, and then the sun started going down, playing under the lights, and, as we get later in the year, it gets darker and darker, and I love college football under the lights. There's nothing quite like college football under the lights. So just be prepared on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. kickoff time here at Foreman Field, Old Dominion University campus in Norfolk, Virginia, as we take on University of Texas San Antonio. Go Monarchs! Let's take this homecoming game and let's get a big win. We need one. We need one bad, since we've just lost 2 in a row. So let's go on ahead and try and pull off a big win here when we come back home to Foreman Field at Old Dominion University Saturday at 3:30 p.m. Like I said, there's a homecoming concert with We the Kings happening Wednesday, September 21st. That's this Wednesday at the North Cafeteria Webb Center. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show will start at 8 p.m. The concert is open to ODU students only. Free tickets are available at the Webb Information Desk. For more information, you can call 757-683-4818. Again, that's 683-4818. And just to give you a little background on We the Kings, they're an American rock band from Bradenton, Florida. And their first album came out in 2007. Just released a new album this year. And that's what we're going to hear 3 songs off of today. And also, let's see, they were on the Warped Tour this year. That's right. When I was checking out their website, I saw that they were on the Warped Tour. And, I checked them out. It sounds like some good college rock. It's not necessarily my cup of tea personally. However, it didn't sound bad. Sounds like if you like college rock, you will really, really enjoy them. So let's go on ahead and give them a listen here on WODU. I'm going to take a little break from talking to you. I'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to hear 3 songs off of the new album from We the Kings. The name of the album so far was released in the beginning of 2016 this year. February, I think it was. And we're going to kick it off with kind of a slow number here. And this one's titled Sad Song, right here on Topical Applications, WODU. I am TJ the DJ.
You and I, we're like fireworks and symphonies exploding in the sky. With you, I'm alive. Like all the missing pieces of my heart, they finally collide. So stop time right here in the moonlight, 'cause I don't ever wanna close my eyes. Without you, I feel broke, like I'm half of a whole. Without you, I've got no hand to hold. Without you, I feel torn like a sail in a storm. Without you, I'm just a sad song. I'm just a sad song. With you, I fall. It's like I'm leaving all my past in silhouettes upon the wall. With you, I'm a beautiful mess. It's like we're standing hand in hand with all our fears upon the edge. So stop time right here in the moonlight, 'cause I don't ever wanna close my eyes. Without you, I feel broke, like I'm half of a whole. Without you, I've got no hand to hold. Without you, I feel torn like a sail in a storm. Without you, I'm just a sad song. You're the perfect melody, the only harmony I wanna hear. You're my favorite part of me. With you standing next to me, I've got nothing to fear. Without you, I feel broke, like I'm half of a whole. Without you, I've got no hand to hold. Without you, I feel torn like a sail in a storm. Without you, yeah, I'm without you. I feel broke, like I'm half of a whole. Without you, I've got no hand to hold. Without you, I feel torn like a sail in a storm. Without you, I'm just a sad song. I'm just a sad song.
they'll tear us apart if you give them the chance. Don't sell your heart, don't say we're not meant to be. Run, baby, run, forever we'll be. Run, baby, run, don't ever look back. They'll tear us apart if you give them the chance. Don't sell your heart, don't say we're not meant to be. Run, baby, run, forever we'll be. You and me. You and me. You and me. I may not live to see our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell our story, they'll tell the story of tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. Raise a glass to the four of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight. The story of tonight. I may not live to see our glory, but I will gladly join the fight. And when our children tell our story, they'll tell the story of tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. Raise a glass to the four of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight. The story of tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Let's have another round tonight. Raise a glass to freedom, something they can never take away, no matter what they tell you. Raise a glass to the four of us. Tomorrow there'll be more of us, telling the story of tonight. The story of tonight. They'll tell the story of tonight. No matter what they tell you, they'll tell the story of tonight. Raise a glass to the freedoms. They'll tell the story of tonight. Telling the story of tonight. Let's have another round tonight. The story of tonight.
We the Kings, their single from their latest album, the album titled So Far. The name of that song, The Story of Tonight. You also heard two other tracks from that album, and that was Check Yes Juliet before the story of tonight, and Sad Song was the first one we heard. And We the Kings will be performing live at the North Caf and Web Center here on the campus of ODU Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Doors open at 7 p.m. Part of the homecoming festivities happening here on the campus of Old Dominion University. Again, We the Kings playing a concert here on the campus at the North Caf in Web Center Wednesday at 8 p.m. Doors at 7 p.m. You can pick up your free student tickets if you are a student. It's only open to students. Pick up your free student tickets here at the Web Center information desk. And again, that's just part of the festivities happening around campus for homecoming week. Old Dominion University football, Monarchs taking on University of Texas San Antonio Saturday 3:30 p.m. at Foreman Field, SB Ballard Stadium. I will be there. Hope to see you there too. I am TJ the DJ. This is Topical Applications on WODU. We just covered some campus happenings, and now it's time to dig into some of the news, the current events happening around the world, the U.S. actually. It's kind of global because we're going to discuss the United Nations General Assembly meeting for the 71st time. And prior to that meeting, there was some activity happening in New York. Some people are calling it terrorist activity. Still waiting on all the details to come together. It's still a little foggy. I've been trying to keep up with it because I wanted to kind of work this story in with the UN meeting because it does affect some of the security happening for the United Nations, as the United Nations is where many world governing bodies come together to make decisions that affect the entire globe. If you aren't familiar with the United Nations, it's a good organization to just kind of keep up with because they kind of set the tone for what international relations are going to be across the globe. And the United States has a heavy influence in the United Nations. And they, sometimes they stand with us, sometimes they kind of buck against us. So it's just, good to keep an eye on what's happening at the United Nations, especially when the General Assembly comes together. One of the big topics, which we're going to discuss in just a little bit here on Topical Applications on WODU, is going to be the global refugee crisis as well. So we're going to cover that in just a few minutes. First, we're going to talk about this bombing that happened in New York City over the weekend, and I am going to let Mayor de Blasio talk about the suspect here as aired on CNN earlier this morning. So we are going to play a clip now from CNN News, breaking news. It was this morning at around 7:30. Mayor de Blasio released the name of the suspected bomber, and a few dozen people, I believe, were injured in that. I have not heard of any deaths related to it yet. However, that's not to be fully ruled out. I think there was one serious injury. I didn't see the details on that. But here's Mayor de Blasio earlier this
in immediately piece all this together and define, was it an individual? Was it more than one individual? Do these different incidents relate? I think we're going to know a lot more in the course of today. Things are moving very quickly, and certainly we're going to have a lot more to say in just the next coming hours.
Again, that was New York City Mayor de Blasio talking about the suspect in the Chelsea bombing. Happened on 23rd Street in New York City this past weekend. And there were multiple devices found. However, the one on 23rd Street was the one that exploded. And it says in the report from CNN underneath the video that it could have been worse. And they think that the fact that it was placed under a metal trash container partly helped weaken the force of the blast. And then they found multiple bombs Sunday night near an Elizabeth, New Jersey train station, according to the FBI and Mayor de Blasio. And there was just a lot of activity happening this past weekend regarding this. And again, like I said, this kind of affects what's going to happen in New York City this week with the 71st meeting of the United Nations General Assembly occurring right there in New York City. And then we have all these attacks and suspected attacks happening. So I just wanted to cover that. It's been all over the media all weekend. I was trying to gather news for this show. However, this was pretty much the only news being discussed. This and another topic of international relations, which was a breach of the ceasefire in Syria over the weekend as well. So we'll probably briefly discuss that. However, again, there was a bombing in Chelsea in New York City, 23rd Street. They found other devices that were not detonated, and multiple people were injured. I've only seen reports of one serious injury. Again, this news that I'm sharing is coming from CNN. That's what I had on this morning, and I've flipped through a couple different channels, and they all pretty much had the same thing. I'm expecting Mayor de Blasio was making the rounds from major network to major network, especially the 24-hour news cycle ones and the major ABC, NBC, CBS. So you could always check out more for that information online on the news. It's all over the news. So check that out. Again, bombing in Chelsea, 23rd Street, New York City this past weekend. And now we are going to get into discussing the United Nations General Assembly meeting happening in New York City this week. It was opened up this past week with Ban Ki-moon, Secretary General of the United Nations, holding a prayer to help, bring in the session. And let's see, the United Nations hosting its 71st General Assembly in New York starting on Monday. They're going to discuss migrant and refugee crisis. That's going to be the main topic of discussion. It's the final one for Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, as well as President Barack Obama, as well as the first for another major world leader, United Kingdom's Prime Minister Theresa May. It's expected to result in plans on helping the over 65 million people who have been displaced due to political crises and wars, according to the International Business Times article that was released. Let's see, when was the date on this article here? This article was released this morning at 3:52 a.m. International Business Times is the source where I grabbed this information. Again, 65.3 million people have been displaced due to political crises and wars. We'll tackle those numbers a little bit deeper in just a few minutes. And that's according to the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR. And among them, nearly 21.3 million are refugees. Again, we're going to talk about that in more detail. This summit also follows the failure of the ceasefire, as I alluded to a minute ago, but proposed by the U.S. and Russia over the weekend. Violations of the ceasefire and hindrances to the delivery of humanitarian aid caused it to crumble and resulted in an emergency UN meeting Saturday night. Speaking ahead of the summit, Secretary General Ban said that while conflicts around the world are causing much tragedy, they pale in comparison to the worsening situation in Syria. Major countries with influence have a duty to use their influence and seize this latest opportunity to pursue a political solution, he reportedly said. The UN described Monday's summit as a watershed moment, calling it the first ever to address large movements of refugees and migrants. At least 135 world leaders and several ministers are expected to attend the summit. Ban's report on movements of refugees and migrants forms the basis for the summit document. 22-page proposal hopes to ensure migrants are given a people-centered, sensitive, humane, dignified, gender-responsive, and prompt reception. Amnesty International is skeptical of the success of the summit today, and their Secretary General Salil Shetty said in a statement that the summit on the worst refugee crisis in 70 years is doomed to abject failure, in quotes. Doomed to abject failure. Instead of sharing responsibility, world leaders shirked it. The UN summit has been sabotaged by states acting in self-interest, leaving millions of refugees in dire situations around the world on the edge of a precipice, Shetty said. UN member states have both a moral and a legal duty to welcome the refugees who need help today. Again, we're going to talk more about the global refugee crisis happening. It's just horrible. I've had some friends head over there to help with some of the refugees coming into Greece and, going into Turkey. There's a lot going on that a lot of people over on this side of the world just don't really know too terribly much about the details of what's going on, because it's not covered as in depth in the United States news as it probably should be. And then coming from Newsday report on the United Nations, talking about the carnage in Syria, the problems happening between Israelis and Palestinians, climate change and terrorism. Those are going to be some of the big issues that the United Nations member states will consider during this 71st General Assembly. And it's a total of 193 nations represented at the United Nations. Of course, the United States, serving on the Security Council, is a permanent veto power member. There's 4 countries that are permanent veto power members. We always have the opportunity to veto legislation, policies in the United Nations that our country does not agree with. Let's see, this gathering is happening in Manhattan. Like I said, that bombing was in the Chelsea neighborhood. 23rd Street is where one was detonated. They found others around the city as well that were not detonated, so that has probably increased security. I know from friends that live up in New York City, they always talk about how bad security gets, how bad traffic gets around the city when the UN is in town. And you can only imagine. I mean, we're looking at prime ministers, ambassadors, presidents, all sorts of dignitaries heading to the same place at the same time. So, and then on top of that, like I said, we had these issues happen over the weekend. Just aired Mayor de Blasio naming the suspect in at least one of those bomb occurrences in New York City. So, again, security is going to be tight in New York City. If you're planning on going to New York, it's not that far away from here, and we're Norfolk, Virginia, then plan accordingly. I wouldn't suggest driving. I would suggest allowing yourself extra time this week if you plan on heading up to New York City with the UN in session, plus the occurrences over the past weekend. Like I said last week, Secretary General Bond opened the General Assembly at a prayer service where he stated wistfully that both the service and session have deeper meaning as he counts down his days when he steps down on December 31st as Secretary General of the United Nations. Such topics that are going to be covered. Let's see, we're going to look at this. Again, this is from Newsday.com. This article came out 2 days ago, September 17th, by Zach Dowdy at Newsday. And some of the topics that he covered stating will be discussed. North Korea having more sophisticated weapons testing. There was just seismic activity noticed, which they say was basically a test fire of a nuclear missile in North Korea. They've also launched a ballistic missile that skimmed Japan's shores. We're also going to probably hear about the cessation of hostilities in Syria last week. Civil war has claimed more than 300,000 lives. It's spawned a humanitarian crisis, and millions of refugees have left Syria heading into Jordan, Turkey, Lebanon, and Europe. And again, there was a ceasefire brokered with the U.S. and Russia leading the conversation, and then that was broken this past weekend. So that's going to be a large topic. Like I said earlier, they had an emergency meeting to discuss that. The Islamic State, Al Qaeda, Boko Haram, and others are continuing to foster and practice terrorism on several continents. The world continues to get warmer, so global climate change. Yemen, Burundi, Libya, Nigeria, Somalia, South Sudan, and others are grappling with internal and external strife. Challenging environment also provides a window of opportunity as Obama and Ban Ki-moon prepare to leave office, said a professor of political science from Adelphi University in Garden City, who said the agreement on climate change is probably the best for international cooperation. So that's probably going to be the positive topic happening in New York City at the United Nations headquarters this week will be the agreement on combating global climate change. And I think that's about it to discuss what's going on with the United Nations in New York City this week for their 71st General Assembly meeting. Again, it's President Barack Obama's last as President of the United States of America, as well as Secretary General Ban Ki-moon's last General Assembly session, the 71st overall of the United Nations. And like I said, we discussed the topic of the global refugee crisis happening across mainly in Europe and the Middle East is where a lot of the brunt is being taken. And it's just these numbers are atrocious. And I was looking at the United Nations website, refugeesimmigrants.un.org/summit. And this is the Summit for Refugees and Migrants, September 19th. That's today. United Nations General Assembly will host a high-level summit to address large movements of refugees and migrants with the aim of bringing countries together behind a more humane and coordinated approach. This is the first time the General Assembly has called for a summit at the heads of state and government level on large movements of refugees and migrants, and it is a historic opportunity to come up with a blueprint for a better international response. It is a watershed moment to strengthen governance and international migration and a unique opportunity for creating a more responsible, predictable system for responding to large movements of refugees and migrants. So again, that's happening today at the United Nations in New York City. You're tuned in to Topical Applications on WODU. I am TJ the DJ. We are discussing some global topics right here, right now, and the United Nations tackling today in New York City the global refugee and immigrant crisis. And just to give you some numbers that I pulled from the UN Refugee Agency, this had a great infographic, unhcr.org/figures-at-a-glance. So figures at a glance with dashes in between the words, unhcr.org/figures-at-a-glance with dashes in between the words. And forcibly displaced people worldwide, that number is 65.3 million people. So 65.3 million people have been pushed from their homes. And these numbers, they mainly reflect figures coming from 2015. I'm sure there are some numbers from 2016. However, it's more accurate using the numbers from 2015. So that is where most of the data comes from. They normally compile all the statistics at the end of the year. So again, 65.3 million people forcibly displaced from their homes worldwide, and 21.3 million of these people are refugees. And this number includes, we're looking at 5.2 million Palestinian refugees are registered with the UN, as well as 16.1 million under the refugee agency jurisdiction for how many people are displaced. So we're looking at 5.2 million Palestinians in that number, and they basically live in an autonomous region, I think is how the UN has defined it, and it's not necessarily a nation state. However, they do recognize that there is an ethnic group of people that have their own culture and civilization in that area. So that's the Palestinians, and then the 16.1 million remaining of that 21.3 million are refugees just registered with the UN Refugee Agency. And stateless people are 10 million, so that means those people have no recognition of states. And when you lose these types of recognitions, what you have to consider is the fact that these people don't have access to government health care. They don't have access to government education. They don't have access to government housing assistance. So the overall globe has to bear this burden. And that is where the issue comes in. And that's why the United Nations takes such a hard approach to this. And 39% of these people, these refugees and immigrants, the people that have been forcibly displaced, 21.3 million, 39% are hosted in the Middle East and North Africa, partly because that's where they come from. And if you look at the human rights guidelines as to how to handle these situations, the UN typically tries to resettle these people at least in refugee camps that are similar to the area from which they came. And 54% of these refugees that we're discussing, 54% of the 21.3 million refugees come from 3 countries. Somalia has 1.1 million refugees that have fled. Afghanistan, 2.7 million Afghani people have fled, and 4.9 million people have fled Syria. So those are the top 3 countries. Again, they constitute 54% of all refugees across the globe. Somalia with 1.1 million, Afghanistan 2.7 million, and Syria 4.9 million. And what is the common factor? Endless war in these countries. These countries have had war for years and years and years, and it hasn't stopped. And so it's just one of those things that we need to start assessing. And us as students here at ODU, we need to look at where we can take our education to the world, to the globe, once we complete our time here at Old Dominion University. I know I want to work in public relations, so that's why I take such a keen interest in this. Plus, I'm just a humanist. I believe in helping my fellow humans out. And when I look at countries that, the U.S. has been involved in their wars for years and years and years, yet they have these major human rights issues such as forcibly displacing their residents to the tune of, let's see what we're looking at, between 8 and 9 million people just between 3 countries. That's an insane amount of people. So something needs to be done. And then looking at the top hosting countries for refugees, Jordan hosts 664,000, just over 664,000. Ethiopia is just over 750,000. We're looking at Iran at 979,400, so just under 1 million people hosted in Iran. Lebanon has 1.1 million. Pakistan has 1.6 million, and Turkey 2.5 million. And again, a lot of this is based upon stuff that has been brokered, deals that have been brokered through the UN and through groups like the European Union, other treaty organizations. They decide. And to put that in comparison, the United States took in less than 70,000 refugees in 2015. So you hear a lot in the news that, refugees are coming. 70,000 out of 21.3 million is just a small drop in the bucket. And that is slightly less than the population of Santa Fe, New Mexico, which ranks 490th for population in the United States. So Santa Fe, New Mexico has more people than the amount of refugees we took in 2015, which was right around 70,000. I think it was just under 70, like 69,900 something. And so we need to consider these things as good human stewards on this planet. We need to consider taking care of our fellow human beings and think about these people who don't have a government to help them out when they're down there. And they're pretty down on their luck because they've given it all up to get away from what's going on in their home countries, and now they are people without countries, and they are looking for new places to settle. So this has been Topical Applications. I am TJ the DJ. I always want to get you thinking early on a Monday morning. I hope it ain't thinking too hard. I hope there ain't smoke coming out of your ears right now. I will be back here with an hour worth of music on Friday here on WODU. And that is from 11:30 until 12:30. Bullying the Jukebox. Lots of great punk rock, hip hop, R&B, punk rock, hip hop, ska, roots reggae, and who knows what, anything else that kind of fits in that format. I'll be back here Friday, 11:30 to 12:30 with that show, and then next Monday, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m., we will be right here with more Topical Applications on WODU on the beautiful campus of Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm TJ the DJ. So long. Have a great week.